That better be water.
Can you? It's water. It is water from a water glass. Can you hear me now?
You are loud and clear.
Okay. Am I too loud and too clear?
There's no such thing. Chaz Smith, we are sitting in the middle of a burning house here on January 25th, 2024.
It's all coming down, except are you saying literally or figuratively?
Figuratively. You
Oh,
and I
okay.
jointly in different locations.
I was going to say, oh, wine. It's wine o'clock for you?
It's a Thursday night show, dude. So Chaz and I usually record by 9 a.m., around 9 a.m., I'd say. Today we're doing a 5:30 afternoon show.
How do you think it's going to be better or worse?
Way better. The best show ever.
I think so too. I'm coming in feeling exactly that way. I'll tell you what, David Lee Scales, something about, oh, I thought about this today and I thought I better not forget this because I wanted to remember it. Uh, I thought about you a lot today vis-a-vis the David Lee Roth and Wolfgang, how do I forget Wolfgang?
Affection?
No, the Wolfgang, what's his dang last name? Yvette or not
Wolfgang Van Halen.
Van. I love that the Van Halen was the last name I forgot, not the Roth, but the Van Halen. But yeah, David Lee Roth fully calling Wolfgang Van Halen out today. Did you see
Oh,
this?
I didn't see this story now.
Oh, this was headline news. Is he called him a little something? It was some cuss word, and then can you believe this guy? Something like that. But yeah, David Lee Roth going hard at Wolfgang Van Halen.
What did Wolfgang do to him?
So apparently Wolfgang had kicked two girls that David Lee Roth had backstage out of a show and then kicked another one out of another show. And it was kind of an incoherent rant. But David Lee Roth was talking about how they were actually the accountants. They had all the checks for everybody. And Wolfgang Van Halen thought they were groupies for David Lee Roth and blah, 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 blah. But look at how dumb you are for kicking out the accountants. But yeah, I really thought David Lee Roth, that is who
Well,
you got named after.
that is
David
my
Lee Roth.
that is my namesake. And if you'll remember, I wanted to name our son Wolfgang.
Wolfgang, I know. But
Yeah,
you could have had this whole,
I
yeah,
know.
that's what captivated me today. That's why I was thinking this is not great because we have David Lee Roth really mad at Wolfgang. He was basically saying Wolfgang is a Nepo baby, that Wolfgang has no talent. The only way he is where he is because his last name is Van Halen. For shame.
I'm gonna have to look into the story further before I pick sides. I'm not sure who I agree with on this one.
I mean,
David
it's
Lee
hard.
Roth is pretty nuts, and he is often like impossible. He's unintelligible often in his rants. So
I mean, but that is your namesake. So
it is.
I think that it should be your go-to. And also, on the surface, Wolfgang Van Halen is a Nepo baby, unless
It
I
is.
don't listen to Wolfgang Van Halen's music enough to know. Is he actually talented?
Who knows? I haven't listened either. I have a feeling if he was, we would have heard his music by now.
It's the truth. And he has
Yeah.
like the combo of obviously lineage and being named Wolfgang Van Halen, where Valerie Bertinelli is your mother, also, and you're still like a sub, like, huh? Yeah, you got to be, I think, probably spectacularly untalented in order for him not to be like household name.
Yeah. Valerie Burton Ernie is what how I always refer to her. Can you double check to make sure that your computer's
Oh
drawing from the
man, I
correct
sure
microphone?
can. It's doing this lately, ain't it?
I can't quite tell. It doesn't sound bad, but it doesn't sound as good as I remember it sounding.
And that, yeah, we're dry here. I'm gonna
Okay.
pull it. I'm gonna pull it close here.
Oh,
Is that better?
that's all it is. Yeah. It's
Okay.
just far away.
Yep.
Okay. Well, as I stated in the opening, the burning house is the WSL. It was a train headed for a cliff, maybe a car that was on a train track with the train headed towards it. I don't remember which analogy we were using previously, but I feel like it's actively burning and it's a house that we're all inside of. And actually maybe we're on the outside of it and those in the organization are on the inside and they're smiling. Maybe they got a little carbon monoxide and it's made them loopy and they don't quite understand what's happening or they just refuse to acknowledge it, but everybody's acting like everything is hunky-dory and not acknowledging that the two greatest female surfers that have ever existed on the planet, with a combined total of, I think, 13 world titles and one gold medal, walked away on
Walked
their own
away,
accord.
walked away, and let's just be frank about this. One in absolute prime. Carissa Moore is a spry 31, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Stephanie Gilmore is on the other side, but I think still just 35, and her style of surfing is ageless, right? And so she could go on and do this for another solid 5 years, easy
Yeah.
5 years. Uh, Neither of them were pushed. Both of them walked. Both of them
Yeah.
said, Carissa said, I'm taking forever off. Uh, Stephanie said, I'm taking the year off, but let's just be honest, that's forever off too. Like, I don't know why she made that claim, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it's just the polite thing to, I think it keeps job opportunities open for you. So whether it's your sponsors or your fans or wild card opportunities or whatever, just saying that I'm taking a year off allows them to keep gifting you those things, you know.
I'm just
Not
gonna
gifting, she earned
see
them.
what happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
Except for, okay, so I see you. I see you, the two, and let's just be frank here. These aren't just two good, like, women surfers. Carissa and Steph are like, I mean, this is partially the face of the brand. These are surfers that it's not just like, oh, okay, who cares, right? Who cares about the women's side? No, 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 no. Like, these are icons who are exceptional and people watch. Like, this is beyond men, women. This
Yeah.
is surfers. This is
Yeah.
top tier talent leaving of their own volition, except right when I was ready to dance around and watch it burn. What do you make of this ESPN business? And also, Jason Mamoa coming on today. Jason Momoa. And I love the Surfer magazine AI bots who just don't understand things. Like, I guess that's the best part about AI, right? Is fooling at this nascent stage of AI, is fooling AI is what's funny. And so Derek Riley has loved, in the Derek Riley way, has loved to throw in who are the biggest gay icons in surfing, right? And we get all kinds of people. We get Greg Knoll, I think. We get all kinds of whatever. Derek's always tricking AI into saying people are gay. That's Derek. Uh, but
Is he writing articles about this?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. These
I
are
don't.
regularly. He hasn't done one in a while, but for a while there was the who is the best gay surfer, and it would be, yeah, I think Greg Knoll was one of the best gay surfers according to AI. So AI is silly, and thus Surfer Magazine is silly since it is AI now. And I think their headline was Jason Momoa sponsors the WSL or something like that, or the WSL sponsors Jason Momoa. There's some real awkward thing there,
Yeah.
AI derivative. But yeah, Jason Momoa, what do you make of that? He's no slouch.
Yeah, but it's a very tenuous connection that you're drawing. Jason, for the listeners, Jason Momoa is probably not even full owner, but an investor in a canned water company who is now partnering with the WSL. That's the story, right?
That is, but then also ESPN, the worldwide leader in sport, David Lee Scales. But also, I have more questions about this real quick. I haven't done the deep dive. I haven't done my surf journalism yet. Uh, does so for the listener who doesn't know, the WSL just announced day before the Jason Momoa announcement that it was officially going on with ESPN. ESPN was now the
Part
broadcast sponsor or whatever.
Partnering with
Does,
ESPN Plus to stream live events.
does that mean no more YouTube, no more anything?
No,
Does that mean
it's in
it's
addition
behind?
to.
Are you sure?
No.
Exactly. Like, that's the thing. If they put surfing behind the paywall, the ESPN Plus paywall, quietly before the uh
then it's
season
dead.
starts.
It's dead in the tracks.
It is, I mean, such an epic death rattle, though. Like, nobody will watch, nobody will care. But I mean, this is something I guess we need to discuss further. Uh, let's unpack this without knowing anything, shall we?
It's what we do best.
So let's assume that it's still streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and
WorldSurfLeague.com.
WorldSurfLeague.com. Let's assume there are 3 free streaming sites where you're getting this thing. ESPN is very certainly not paying for this, right? They're not paying for, okay, this is streaming in real time. We're going to broadcast it on television. Okay. Either WSL, you're paying us, or alternatively, you're giving us this content for free, and then you're really leaning into it on your socials of selling, hey, subscribe and you get it, ESPN Plus, da 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 da, right? I mean, what's the game here?
Great question. I think I mean, it must be for free. There's definitely no way ESPN is paying for
No,
right
ESPN
for. There's no. That's not even an option.
absolutely, ESPN has not opened the wallet.
Pres-
If somebody's opening the wallet, it's likely the WSL, except they have no money in the wallet, except it's Dirk Ziff's.
Yeah, there's got to be some sort of exchange though. I think it's the WSL paying ESPN, whether it's money or not, some sort of a deal where the WSL is paying to utilize their platform to access more audience.
But what audience? The ESPN Plus audience? I mean, let's not
I
forget.
well, I don't think I think it validates the WSL in a certain way for sports fans in general, quote unquote,
Yeah, except
to be
it's
listed alongside volleyball, bowling,
inline
whatever else they're
skating.
doing on ESPN
Yeah.
Plus.
I mean, somebody, when the story was posted on Beach Grit, somebody in the comments did the screen grab of of was it Dodgeball, the movie? Yeah. The
ESPN
dodgeball movie,
Ocho.
the Ocho. Yeah, ESPN 8, the Ocho.
This is totally the Ocho. Um, Look, it's not a bad move for the WSL if it is, depending on what they paid, if they paid. It's not a bad move. ESPN's Disney. Like there's a certain kind of clout that comes with being in bed with that, with Disney, and opportunities that might arise. And maybe there's a sponsorship, advertisements that run, they get a split or something like that. So I don't think it's a bad deal. People who are on ESPN Plus maybe get fed the surfing and maybe end up watching the surfing.
Like, because so they're also advertising whatever amount of episodes of WSL behind the scenes, which, let's go back and unpack this a little bit too. Did not make or break. That was a Disney Plus show, was it not?
Apple Plus.
Apple Plus. Okay, so this is because, okay, so what is this? Because they're also getting X amount of episodes of WSL, whatever the show is called, WSL behind the scenes,
Oh, I
which,
didn't know that.
yeah, that's also included in this, which I was assuming was make or break repackaged, thinking that it was, but no. Now, so there's going to be behind the scenes apparently.
Yeah, well, that might make sense. Like if there was an opportunity to have exclusive content that's only available on ESPN, and then part of that deal is you will also stream our stuff with you on your platform. I mean, maybe that makes sense.
None of it may. Let's be honest here. Let's be quite frank. Let's be 5:44 p.m. on a Thursday evening after lots of work and driving and blah de blah. Frank, none of it makes sense. Uh, ESPN is, and ESPN Plus in particular is flailing. Disney is sinking hard. Disney is having a lot of problems.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, we'll cast lines out here. WSL's like, we're here. We'll give you our content for free. This is a two losing. I don't think ESPN is a losing company overall, but
No,
ESPN is in trouble right now.
they're having a
WSL is
banner bad year.
banner bad year. WSL is clearly a dumpster fire. We have two flailing entities kind of making a marriage bed in hell.
Well, somebody also sent me a DM, maybe to you too, and they were like, I haven't seen this many sponsors slapped on an event since I watched NASCAR,
Yeah.
basically. Like, or since I've seen a NASCAR, I guess. But it's like the Lexus Pipe Pro presented by Yeti, and not even on the poster, also represented somehow, quote, represented. I don't know what that even means. Florence Marine X and Visla.
Visla and Florence Marine X, I think, have been kicked down the like ladder
It,
to be now official clothing sponsors. But now like ESPN is going to be somewhere on this
right.
NASCAR fender. For sure. Oh, now we have Jason Momoa's canned water is on the NASCAR fender. We have, I mean, you're exactly right. Where Bailey Ladders was totally foolish and funny. Now we have Bailey Ladders Plus. Like it is the
They
ESPN Plus of sponsorships.
Bailey's doesn't even get a logo on the poster, but they use a Bailey ladder to put up the poster and then take a photograph from there so you can see the Bailey ladder in the imagery, but it's not actually on the poster.
I mean, let's just really truly again be now 5:46 p.m. on a Thursday evening, Frank.
You
Uh
sure that's water in your glass?
yeah. It's not. Uh but I don't see this going beyond this year. Like
It's, I
again,
mean,
I straight buried the lead of Carissa and Steph getting out. But this whole thing seems like it's done, it's cooked. They're gonna limp through this year. They're gonna get to the Olympics. Again, we've been talking about this. They're gonna get to the Olympics. Dirk's gonna be like kind of trying to beat the drum. I don't know how you haven't had the drum beaten hard leading in. The Olympics is not that far away.
no,
Like you should be really in your buildup here. And if your buildup is being on the Ocho and like
with a last minute announcement as well. Like
straight,
the event's
like
coming in
days before,
5 days, 4 days.
days before,
Yeah.
days before, we got, oh, everybody, we got the Ocho, we're here. Like it's been crickets up until, I mean, the press release announcing the like kickoff of the 2024 championship tour season came like we've had these. It was like 2 days before the Ocho announcement was that, oh, we're actually starting again. Then we got the Ocho, and now we got Jason. It's like the PR interns finally got woken up. Like, hey, I know we're not paying you guys, but you actually do something, and this is
Right.
what they're doing.
I was pretty upset about it all. Carissa Moore, I felt like it's just a, slap in the face, really, like to do what they've done to her. I was upset for Carissa Moore. And at this point, I'm laughing. I'm not upset anymore. I'm enjoying it. It's like the house burning down, and part of, I'm just laughing at it. It's hilarious and it's amazing. So it's become farcical, I guess, is what it is. It's become a satire.
Well, and I mean, the truth of the matter is, like this Dirk Ziff with his whatever big ambitions he thought he had, which I don't even know if they were ever his or
No, they weren't.
like who
It was
knows.
always going to be a philanthropy for him, but there were people within the organization who saw that as an opportunity to have big aspirations.
But whatever they did, whatever brain trust they were, uh, they did, I feel, so poorly that people will look back. So it's not like you're going to look back on 50 years from now. Nobody's going to look back on professional surfing as, oh man, we had these champions and we did this thing. And people will think, I think in 50 years, people will look back and say, wait a second, there was such a thing as professional surfing. And not people. I'm saying the one fifth grader who is in the library researching a project and comes to his teacher and says, teacher, 50 years ago, there was this thing called professional surfing and there were champions. And the teacher will say, no. And fifth grader will show them the world book and say, yes, look at this guy named Kelly Slater won a bunch of them. This girl named Carissa Moore won a bunch. This girl named Stephanie Gilmore won a bunch. It was like professional surfing. And
Okay.
teacher's going to say,
You know why that's absurd? Is because it was never meant to be in the first place.
Exactly.
It would be, and it's amazing that it even lasted this far.
I mean,
It,
completely.
it, it would be the equivalent of saying professional art tour,
Yeah.
and we're going to deem who's the best painter. You know what I mean? And
Yes.
it's like, oh my God, can you believe Van Gogh won back in 1865 or whatever the year
Van Gogh
was?
is like
Like,
a
he was the world
seriously
champ,
8-time. Van Gogh is an 8-time world art champion.
except he wasn't because he never sold a painting. They didn't identify it till after he died, but he would have been if he, you know what I mean? Like that's how absurd it is. I mean, it's kind of as absurd as picking an Oscar winner or something. You know what I mean? Like that is what surfing is. It was never meant to be. There can be professional surfers, but contest professional surfing is absurd from the get go. It was always a square peg in a round hole.
So let us then really, us from our perch at 5:51 p.m. on a Thursday evening with
Are you
clear
using your
vision.
Veyor watch right now? How is your timekeeping so accurate?
My Veyor watch, VeyerWatches.com. Get yours. You can know exactly what time it is too, and know exactly when real ultimate moments are happening in real time. But here we go. You and I now can look back on this thing in real time and mock it, but we can also appreciate the people who brought an absurd thing into existence and made it real, which Rabbit Bartholomew. Rabbit Bartholomew, this was his vision. He made this thing happen. It lasted for this long, and credit to Rabbit for doing something so insanely absurd that it lasted what is the whole run of professional surfing?
1964 might have been the first title that was handed out. And once it became an organization, might have been like 72 ish.
I mean, and WSL claims 76, right? With
Okay.
the, I mean, start of the whatever version of pro surfing.
Yeah.
So let's say, let's split the difference and say 74 to 2024, which is
50 years.
50 years.
Let's call it.
A professional Rabbit Bartholomew's vision lasted 50 years, half a century. That's a solid run for anything. Like things built. I mean, what we can look at, like, I don't know, Ford Motor Company, which is still going on and stuff like that. But it's like, I mean, not much lasts for 50 years. Will Tesla
No.
last for 50 years? I doubt it. Like Rabbit Bartholomew's vision, 50 years. David Lee Scales.
Let's
Let's
applaud.
toast
Cheers
Rabbit
To the PT Barnum of surfing.
Rabbit
That's an,
Bartholomew.
that's an unfortunate legacy, considering he's such a great surfer, such a great man.
It's a great legacy, though. He made
But
something
well,
absurd last for 50 years.
I get it, but I'm saying for it to go out in a dumpster fire is not
Yeah,
the way
everything
that he
always
would have
goes out.
envisioned it.
Sure, but when things go out, nothing ever goes out except for Carissa Moore. Like,
Exactly. And Steph Gilmore. Look, Steph Gilmore didn't quite do it as poetically as Carissa Moore, but
exactly.
if it wasn't for Carissa Moore, Steph's would have been pretty
That's the
classy.
thing, though. We have Mother Carissa doing it perfectly. We have Steph.
Princess
I,
Di is Steph.
I don't want to say she pulled a Kelly here, but it was like a week after, and like a week after, and a full on, like, oh, I'm taking a year off, right? Like
Yeah.
Carissa had, I mean, did you see the comments in Carissa's I'm out
Yeah.
post?
Yeah.
It was everybody,
Yeah.
legit everybody. I scrolled, it was blue tick after blue tick, and now I know that's not as important because you can buy the blue tick, but it was Kelly, Kai Lenny. It was who's who, John, every single notable surfer on earth was weighing in on Carissa, saying, love you, thanks for your service, so long. Steph's, God bless Steph. I got love Steph Gilmore. Nothing against Steph, but it was a real half-baked Carissa Moore out. Like
This is
Carissa,
not this is not a reflection of Stephanie. I'm going to make an argument for Stephanie right here.
love Stephanie.
This no, Stephanie had inside intel, knew Carissa Moore would be doing this, knew that there was a New York Times article attached to it, and Stephanie said, I'm going to take second seat. I'll play second fiddle here. I'm going to let Carissa do her thing. I'll wait a couple days and just do mine quietly after her and let Carissa get, full limelight.
You sure?
That's my guess.
Because if you wanted to do that game, she didn't need to announce nothing. She could have just showed up at Pipe and then withdrawn from whatever she was going to withdraw. I mean, is Steph doing nothing?
She did not announce much. She simply made an Instagram post. So it wasn't like a proper announcement.
I'm just going to
Now, and,
say,
and to answer your question, I do not think she's surfing pipe. She's just taking the year off, full stop.
yeah. So, I mean, I wonder, there's no way that the Gilmore and Moore camps are in contact, or do you
There,
think they are?
I just think that Stephanie is such a class act
I
and
think she
such a
is
good
too.
human being that if she had that intel, that would have been her move. And it seems to me that she would have that intel and that she did make that move.
Well, good on, I mean, again, nothing, this is not to at all tar Stephanie Gilmore's legacy. Like, she is as classy and wonderful. And I mean, again,
Ambassador of the sport. I mean, honestly, she's Princess Di to Carissa's Mother Teresa. It's two different things and they're equally amazing. You know what I mean? Well,
mm,
Mother Teresa. Actually, Mother
except we
Teresa
got Mother
deserves.
Carissa, we have a saint, and we have a mortal like the rest of us.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah. You're right. You're
yeah,
right.
Steph Gilmore is mortal. She is you and I, and the best version of us, right? Steph Gilmore. Carissa is dropped straight down from heaven onto this earth, unblemished, not one sin, not one problem. Perfect. And so I guess what do you do if you're Steph Gilmore and you're going up against perfection? You just
We
you make a misstep. You retire on Instagram in a weird I'm taking the year off way is what you do.
we are grateful to have had them both in our time, and the WSL is unbelievably lucky to have ever even been associated with both of them. And it is a shame, to be perfectly honest, that both of those women dedicated the prime years of their surfing life to that tour, trying to win titles, because I think that it undermined the surfing that they could have been doing for the last 10 years.
I hear you, except they only were undermined since 2015, circa 1976, when Ziff took over. Like, in the Rabbit Bartholomew years, the Dream Tour, all of this, right? Again, I totally hear you and agree that this should have never been anything other than art. To make it a judged thing is weird. But Dream Tour, it's a good name. Oh, we're going to Fiji. We're
I
going, I
get
mean,
it,
yeah, like, I'd sign on to that all day, every day. I get to travel the world and surf the world's best waves with my bros. I
but
mean,
that's not what it is.
not now, not
No.
circa, yeah,
Yeah.
or not since 2015, circa 1976. Except, do you remember? Let's think back here. Uh, do you remember when Globe sponsored the Fiji event?
Yeah.
Do you remember like I would loved those, like, so the event, obviously it's cloud break and all that, it's phenomenal. But then you have video, and this wasn't like obviously it wasn't streaming at all, but I remember whatever iteration of internet it was, watching like CJ and Damo playing tennis, right? At like whatever was happening on the island was so fun to peek in on. It was still like, this is surfing, right? We have the best surfers in the world at one of the best waves in the world. And then when they're not surfing at that best wave in the world, they're playing tennis or they're doing fun stuff. And I remember Globe doing a really good job of showcasing whatever, like, even at, oh, they're at the bar, like, where you got to actually peek in and see this is what's happening. That's fun.
Yeah. Hey, man, all of that experience is still happening. It's just not happening on the WSL. Now
Except
is a
is,
phenomenal time to be a surfer. It's just a horrible time to be a fan of professional surfing.
I mean, how, okay.
Because all those videos, I mean, there's more content now between Instagram and access to kind of everything on a real time thing and the films that we get to watch at the Florida Surf Film Festival that somehow never see the light of day outside of the Florida Surf Film Festival. I mean, I watch cinematic 90-minute, incredibly highly, high production films through them that are never see the light of day somehow. My point is, great time to be a fan of surfing, awful time to be a fan of professional surfing.
But let's talk real quick though about the Florida Surf Film Festival, which is it this weekend that it's happening?
I know I need to look it up. I'll look it up as we're talking. Give them
Okay,
some love though, because they
I'll
do a
I'll
good
jibber
job.
jabber about it real quick because you're exactly right that like the stuff happening in surfing is it's the best time for the surf fan. I don't know that it's the best time for the surfer. I feel like Fiji, WSL, or not WSL, like ASP days when they could all hang out together and then go surf and then hang out together more. Those would have been, I mean, I was there for part of that, right? It was like peak times. I was ASP traveling with it. It was fun, fun, fun. Though I don't know that the surf fan at home got to fully appreciate that. They can through the film, and you got to go to places to watch these films though, because you will not be aware of them otherwise. Exactly to your point, Florida
Well,
Florida Surf Film Festival.
which by the way, it's next weekend. It's February 2nd and 3rd. Go to floridasurffilmfestival.com, check it out. We got invited. We're not going to make it this year or this quarter, but it's an unbelievable event. And yeah, go to there, go check out their Instagram page. You can see what films that they're going to be showcasing.
Brad Pitt may well be there,
I know
so
Brad Pitt's
you
down the street right now, and
yeah.
Kelly's been there in the last couple of events. So
Yeah, you can actually like star spot there. But I mean, exactly, I guess to the general point is there's great stuff happening, but this is like life in general now. How do you curate the amount of good stuff going on, right? Like how do
yeah,
you as a I'm just waking up in the morning doing my thing, you need to get fed stuff at some point, or you need somebody to do the yards of like weeding out what this is what you should watch. Here's the
yeah.
best in class of stuff. That is exactly what Florida Surf Film Festival. They really got to rename it, to be honest.
Well, it was
It's
people
a
are listening to our
mouthful.
show at
Sober.
1.5. That sentence came through at 0.5. It was the ultimate slow. Well, what you're talking about, that globe event in Fiji, there was a period of time where there was an overlap where the best surfing in the world was happening on the world tour. So if you wanted to see the best surfers and doing the best surfing in the best waves, it happened to be on the world tour. I started commenting 5 years ago that that's no longer the case. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Until Felipe did a double alley oop at Fiji or at J Bay, right? And Owen Wright got 4 10s in one event, I think in Fiji
Tahiti.
or
Yeah.
Tahiti. That's right,
No, no,
Tahiti.
no. Sorry. No, it was Cloud Break.
Yeah. So like those kind of insular, singular moments were standout moments. But when you look at the rest of the year, it was like, oh my, no, it was somebody else doing something else somewhere else. So it was no longer attracting the best surfers in the world. They were specialized surfers. Gabriel Medina is an unbelievable machine in winning events and all that kind of stuff. But I had the thought, I shared this on the podcast. It might not have been with you, but Taro Watanabe
Yeah.
from Malibu published an edit a few months ago, and he was surfing J-Bay, or he went to J-Bay in the edit. And I was watching his surfing, just thinking how beautiful it was. And then I thought to myself, how does this compare to Felipe Toledo surfing J-Bay? And the answer was, it doesn't. They're apples and oranges. There's no way to compare the two. But the WSL and their strict judging criteria, Felipe's surfing to it, and he's doing an incredible job at it. But Taro never would have taken the very interesting, very unique, very beautiful lines that he took if he had been in a heat. In fact, he would have lost that heat, and then he would have looked at Felipe's footage and thought, huh, I need to surf like that guy. And I need to do those, I need to fit more turns in on this wave. And so what you would have is this totally homogenized version of trying to ride a wave. And that is what the WSL has become. It's all the surfers trying to fit through this tiny, tiny needle point, and look the exact same way. And by the way, the judging is so limited in its scope in that if somebody does something that's never been seen before, like
It gets
Josh,
scored low.
it gets scored low. Somebody doing a shove it, or somebody doing Josh Kerr doing the club sandwich at Snapper in 2005, or whatever it happens to
I mean, there
be
were like one of the most remarkable, I think, Kelly Slater, right? Like, wasn't it his weird air where he like fell
at
and
lowers.
yeah,
He
at
did a
lowers.
he did a backside inverted rotation, landed kind of on the board, flat prone, got back up to his feet. But it was such a radical rotation that that's just he happened to land on his stomach. They gave him a 4.17, right?
Exactly.
So the
Do you
judging
actually remember
criteria,
that score as a 4.17?
it was a 4.17, yeah. My memory's gotten worse as I've gotten older, but there's certain things that solidified along the way.
We're
Um,
like legit cursed with you and I with like this is what percentage of your brain is surfing? Like, and not good surfing. I'm
dude,
talking like
all of
garbage
it.
pro surfing
All
stuff.
it's literally 92% and then 8% wine knowledge.
Oh my
So
goodness.
the point is, the judges have this unbelievable limited perspective, and yet all of these surfers who are in the prime of their life, spending a decade of the prime in their life, are forcing themselves to surf into this homogeneity that is limiting of their own abilities because they could be expressing tons of creativity outside of it. I'm ashamed to be involved.
But here's the thing, though. It's got to be. I mean, okay, so the crop coming up, we got an epic crop coming up. Let's be frank, right? We have our turtle friend. What's the name? That dude.
Cole Houshman.
Yeah, that
There's
bro. Surf sick. We got Katie Simmers. We got, I mean, more, I guess, on the women's side than the men's of like, yeah, where are you more excited in terms of progression, in terms of excitement, in terms of spark and flair? It's all women's side, right? I mean, you got Cole who likes
Houshman.
turtles, but I looked at his head after our last podcast and realized he wasn't trying to do turtle. He was trying to do cheetah.
Hey, don't undermine CJ's sense of humor.
Siege, love you.
Come
Uh,
on,
uh,
dude. I thought
uh,
CJ nailed it.
but also, yeah, turtle. But also, besides Cole, are you interested in any
Cade,
male surfer coming up?
so Cade Madsen,
Don't care.
Crosby Colapinto,
Don't care.
my to my exact earlier point, they all are surfing to a formula. If those guys had never been put through the QS ringer, they would be very, very, I mean, they're unbelievably talented. They're surfing, who knows where it could have gone. You know what I mean? Like
Phenomenally.
now, instead, they're just compressing into some version of Kaloe Andino and Griffin Colapinto. And maybe they'll be a degree or two better in certain ways, but it's not going to be a huge contribution to the culture or the sport.
Well, and here's the other thing too. I mean, so aside, but you're more excited with the women coming up, yeah?
I
The
honestly,
Sierra Kerrs, the Katie
I,
Simmers, I mean, I
I
feel that
honestly could not give a crap about any of it anymore except for Survival League. I
not
want my survival pick to win. Otherwise, I would not be paying attention at this point.
okay. So Survival League, for those who aren't involved or know, is truly the best. It's not fantasy. Calling
It's
it
just
fantasy is dumb
the only
because it's
thing
not
is
fantasy. It's
the reason
legit.
why the reason why I'm only engaged in that is it's $20 to enter and it's a $7,000 purse with three surfboards attached. It's a no-brainer. 20
And
bucks, no-brainer.
I fully think they blew the $7,000, but I think now it might be stuck with seven. I don't know. I didn't
What do you
read
mean
the.
blew it?
I think he accidentally announced that it was 7K. I think it's always supposed to be 5K.
Oh no.
But who knows what's happening there? Either five or
Okay.
seven, seven, five.
I'd be happy with five too. I'm just saying for 20 bucks for the entire season. It's not 20 bucks per event.
But
It's 20 bucks for the entire season. I'm in.
this is what I've always felt though, as a because fantasy sport came on for me as a older person. I was like, how can I play fantasy? This is weird. Like I
Yeah,
tried to do a
totally.
couple years of fantasy baseball and fantasy football once. I was like, wait a second. I'm too old for this. Even like this is when I was like low 20s. And I was thinking, I'm not doing fantasy. At this point, even though I'm low 20s, I'm an adult male. I can't do fantasy. So what Survival League does, I feel, this is stinking gambling, but it is gambling on a real clear premise of like you pick your one dude. So those who don't know, I mean, everybody who listens to this podcast, you should Survival League for $20. It's worth, yeah. When you gamble, when you go to
20 bucks.
Vegas and throw down whatever in blackjack, you're not necessarily expecting to win. You're expecting an adrenaline spike. It's a $20 worth of an adrenaline spike. This is straight that, right? Like
Yeah.
you pick your surfer. I made it so far last year, way further than I should have, and died eventually. But every single contest, I thought, here I am. Like
It keeps me engaged.
I wanted to see it. So yeah, sign
I
up.
when I go, if I ever have gambled, it's been very few times in Vegas, like at a proper casino. I come up with a number that I'm comfortable gambling
Sure.
that makes me not vomit. But if when I lose that money, I still feel pissed about it. And if I ever win and I'm up double, then I'm ready to vomit. And I'm like, I can't lose the, like, it's all anxiety all the time. This is 20 bucks. You can earn 7,000. That's it. There's no middle, like where you're up to 2,000 and you have to decide whether do I get off
Yeah,
the table
no.
now or do I try to make 4,000? No, 20 bucks, full season. You get to play the full and or you don't get to play the full season if you lose, but 20 bucks for the entire season. You can't buy back in for $7,000 and three Panda surfboards. It's a no brainer.
The only reason I want the WSL to survive is for Survival League at this point, to be honest. Like, this is the best part of it. Like, which I guess in all weird things, like art, whatever, like it's the weird offshoots that actually work,
True.
where Survival League is so much fun, so good. Anyone and everyone should sign up and do it. 20 bucks, you win. It's fun. It's actually fun to watch. You don't even have to stink and watch. I don't watch, but you like be engaged. If your dude gets through, then sweet. And there you go.
As it we're talking about weird things that are offshoots. I watched a movie this last week that I've been meaning to watch forever, and I just had not for some reason. From like the late 90s, probably. It's called Buffalo 66,
Oh,
the Vincent Gallo movie with Christina
yes.
Ricci. Have you
I've
ever
seen
seen it?
this, of course.
It's excellent.
Epic.
Oh
I
my
mean,
gosh.
those movies, those late, oh man, I don't want stinking nostalgia, but that run of films there was great. I mean, Vincent Gallo in the news recently for being sexually weird to his co-stars, but also
That makes sense.
Vincent Gallo has rapist eyes that nobody else on the world has.
Dude, so checked him, like I was like, what's this guy done since 1995, you know?
Was it
So
rapey movies?
I didn't see any films, but I found him on Instagram and he was selling t-shirts. He has an Instagram account and he was like trying to make art and he was like selling t-shirts that are literally like Hanes white t-shirts that cost $4. And he'd like take a Sharpie and like write on them some provocative statement. And he was trying to sell them for like $500.
Oh man, 500. Like if it was 20, I'd be all in on a weird Vincent Gallo thing. Vincent
No.
Gallo has the like, ain't it weird that some people are born looking like serial killers?
Was he
Like,
born that way or did he develop it?
I don't know, Charles Manson, I look at him and I think, yep, you were a serial killer.
You
Like
got to see
that's
childhood photos though, because that'll be the
ye-
indicator.
yeah, I guess so. But Vincent Gallo is a straight up like freak looking guy.
So
Like
the
those
film,
piercing blue eyes and his weird, yeah,
intense,
yeah.
very, very intense. So the first two-thirds of the film, first two acts, I was like, I'm in, but it's like slow paced, independent, dialogue driven, character driven. Like I'm in, but it takes a little, like, don't look at your phone. You'll get distracted and you won't appreciate it. The third act goes off the rails. And it was like, I was so thrilled that I had paid attention for the first two acts because the third act, it like shifts tone, direction, all of it. It gets wild and it's
I
really, really good.
I
It pays
feel
off.
I feel that's what the 90s had was they could like kind of assume an attention span where we're gonna slow
Yes,
roll. You're in
true.
the theater, you know, you're not none of this was streaming or anything. You don't we're
No,
not worried about you clicking off it.
right.
Like So we can actually slow roll you into something that then booms, and then you go tell people about it and say, this is awesome. And then people go see it because,
Exactly.
yeah, people had like time to blow you. Now with streaming, I reckon you got to have your audience within the first 2 minutes, or people are just, oh, yeah, I'm done with it.
Totally.
Yeah.
100%. And by the way, never a better casting choice than Christina Ricci in that film.
I mean, s- going back to Steph Gilmore and Carissa Moore in the pantheon of characters, like I feel that Christina Ricci, Vincent Gallo, I'll throw him in there too. Like there are these people who will live on surfing, rest in peace, done forever, right? I feel Carissa Moore, Mother Carissa, live on. Steph Gilmore will live on in like people will talk about them. People will share their videos in 25 years, 50 years, 100 years. Look at this thing, right? Uh, Vincent Gallo, Christina Ricci. There's so many of those sub actors too, where you didn't need to be a major star, uh, but you definitely made your mark. Where,
Yeah.
again, toasting to both Mother Carissa and Steph, you
Cheers.
guys went and did it.
You earned it. Um, I've got a trivia question for you right now that came to mind that I just want to burn you with.
Yes.
Who won the women's world title last year?
Uh, it was not Katie Simmers.
Sure wasn't.
It was the Caroline Marks. Got
Boom,
you.
got it. You
Boom.
nailed it. It didn't happen quick, but
No, it
your
was a
memory, your
real. I did not pull out my phone to find that. I had it.
but this is my point is like not only my point of our memories fading with our older age, my point is who cares anymore? Like,
No.
and it's the WSL is doing a disservice to Caroline Marks. You
Well,
know what I mean? Like,
and I haven't even seen Caroline Marks advertising this or pushing this out or selling using this in her brand of
no, doesn't even matter anymore.
like world surf champion.
Yeah,
She doesn't care. Nobody cares.
yeah, doesn't care.
It's rough.
Nobody cares. But I would love to see what Caroline Marks would have done if she dedicated these best years of her life to surfing instead
Yeah.
of competing. And so that, by the way, leads me to what's Steph going to do this next year? If Steph actually focused on making a free surf film, which very few female surfers ever have in their careers, it would be an amazing use of her time.
So let's even talk about her exit I'm out Instagram post. There was the one drone follow of her on that wave. Not a critical wave, not a crazy wave. It's her cruising down a normal wave, doing a floater,
Mm,
dropping back in. I watched that multiple times. Like
beautiful.
it was so something about that was so perfect. And it wasn't not in a weird way, not in any way. It was just like a perfect surf clip, I felt.
How do you define poetry? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you can't assign it is what it is. It's its
And
own reason for being, and it's you can't put words on top of the words. It's just beautiful.
I mean, if she went out and did a surf film like that, again, this wave wasn't a, for those who haven't seen it, you can go watch Steph Gilmore's Goodbye, whatever, for a year Instagram thing. But it was what, like a 3 to 4 foot wave?
Not even. It's like knee to waist high. Yeah.
Yeah. And her like gentle pumps to the floater to whatever that was, I was like, that was surfing.
Yep. Congrats. Enjoy your time off.
Yep.
Make it permanent. The
Yep.
WSL doesn't deserve you.
Nope.
Well, hey, they are watches. We mentioned them already, but boom, tools to live by. They're the ultimate tool for you to carry every single day. Perpetual timekeeping, assembled in the USA, free USA shipping, easy returns, waterproof warranty. Vaer is spelled VAER, VaerWatches.com. A listener needs to know our tools to live by, Chaz.
Let's help.
Let's do it. David and Chaz, I am in somewhat of a pickle and I need your sage advice. My daughter is 18 months old and has become firm friends with a little boy of a similar age who we will just call Mason. They have play dates, attend groups together, etc. And as such, my partner and the mother of this other child have become firm friends. Last week, my partner, God love her, uttered those fateful words. She said, I think you really would like Mason's dad. He surfs also. My heart sank. Like you, David, I actively avoid self-identifying as a surfer, despite it being all that despite it being an all-consuming obsession since my early teens. I've since been forced to meet up with this stranger and indeed surf, quote, with him. And although I like this kid and I like the wife, I don't like him. What do I do? He now has my number and he texts me multiple times a day. I've been polite for the sake of not wanting to jeopardize my partner's relationship with the other mom, but man, it's just too much. Any guidance would be greatly appreciated. Keep work, get barrel, keep this anonymous in case that effort listens.
Here we go. Anonymously good advice here. It's real easy to be an annoying friend. Let's be honest. And I'm not talking about over texting this bro. I'm saying you're busy. He texts, you don't respond for a couple days, 3 days, 4 days. Oh, sorry, man. I was busy, right?
Mm,
Happens.
mm.
Uh, the slow roll to oblivion is what you do right here. Because then you're not hurting anything at all. You're just slow rolling it to nothing, where that's your game. You don't respond right away. You let stuff bake in the tag. You hit him back. You hit him back, but it's like 4 days late. Oh man, bro, sorry. Uh, hey, what's up? You know, never proactive, obviously.
Yeah.
Only reactive, super slow. The super slow reactive gets the
Sends the
worm.
message.
Yeah. I mean, it
But
doesn't send the message like he'll just, yeah,
slowly.
like he won't ever think this bro. That's the thing. Will never think this bro doesn't like me. He'll just
Okay.
stop doing it himself, right? Like he'll just stop reaching out because it's whatever. Oh yeah, he's busy or whatever, right? Like
Well,
where that's the thing. You're not like, hey, I don't like you. You don't want to send that message. You want to send the message of I'm flaky and unreliable.
great advice as always, because if he interprets it as anything other, it then jeopardizes his wife. That guy's wife is then going to talk to your partner and be like, I think Jeff and Jason are having a fight. Like, why
Yeah.
doesn't Jason reply to Jeff's text messages? What's going on? And then women take that very seriously,
Yes.
not to make a stereotype, but
Yes.
so that becomes something. So you're right. My personal strategy, and I've been called out by this on this, is it's the slow burn that you're talking about, but it goes from delayed response to the text messages to then delayed emphasizing of the text messages. So
Yes.
instead of replying with text and words, you just thumbs up it or exclamate it.
Okay, so this is a whole world I still have never gotten into. I have never once done this on a text, a thumbs up, and like, so I feel you could share more tools to live by on how do you actually do this?
Yeah, that is the move. That is like banter, ping pong, back and forth, right? And then at a certain point, and to be honest, it's not intentional. Sometimes it's just I'm busy. Like maybe it's even just tonight. Like we're texting tonight, but then I end up cooking dinner. And so I have less time to text. And so throughout the course of that exchange, I will then not reply. They'll reply 3 times for my every one reply. And then
Have you thumbs up me? I feel you have.
I probably have, yeah.
I mean, so, and for anyone who actually knows me or David Lee Scales who is listening, none of this applies to you, right? Because there's stuff that gets lost in my text feed. I'm not doing this to anyone right now. Just
Right. Of course
on the
not.
record. Yeah, David Lee, are you doing this to anyone on the
Never.
record?
I would never. It's the ultimate curtain pullback. but I mean that's what ends up happening, right? Is I'm cooking dinner, so then at some point it's like and then we're eating dinner, and then I'm putting
Yeah.
the kid to sleep, and then whatever. Now it's 9 o'clock at night, and I'm not even looking at my phone anymore. So I might see that you replied 5 times to
Yep.
my last one, and I don't want to be rude and just leave you hanging. So I'll give you a thumbs up on the final one, and then I'm moving on.
I really feel that your and my both love of lack of communication is what ties us together.
It very well could be.
It's
What for two guys who talk to each other 90 minutes every week face to face.
it's good
I
enough.
don't think you could say. I mean, that's more than enough. That's way more than I talk to my own wife, probably.
Yeah, no, it's really great. Like for the listener, David Lee will like, yeah, the people who come up and think we're like hanging out all the time, like I'll get that regularly. Like, you guys are that's so sweet. And I'm like, yeah, no. David Lee Scales texts me day before, maybe 2 days before. This time I say yes. And then we get on and
Go deep.
we talk it out. And then
Yep.
that's all we
And I'll
need.
see you next week.
Yeah.
But that's the only way we can survive nowadays. I'll be honest. I'm not anti-communication. It's just there's too many forms of it. Like
You're right.
at any given time, I have 20 DMs in one of my Instagram accounts that I have not replied to. Often they're 5 days old. It just takes me forever to catch up. And if you do reply, they reply. So then
And
that becomes 20 more. You know what I
it
mean? And then there's emails. So the text messages that you're talking about, first of all, I'll never answer my phone. If you call me, I will never answer. And so the text messages on top of the emails, on top of the DMs, it's all too much.
but and back to our dear friend
Oh yeah,
needing
him.
advice. It is you slow like this bro, he's not like you've done the yards already. You've already assessed him as, hey man, don't need this guy in my life. All good that partner and this dude's wife are cool. All good that our 18 months old are good. This dude is not for me. Slow roll him. That's it.
I'm going to go a step further. Yes to all of that. And if this idiot does not get the message and the hint by applying the strategies that we've already given you, then turns out you definitely don't want to be spending time with that dude.
Absolutely.
And when I say go a step further, I'm going to say his wife made a terrible decision to marry and have children with him. And so you don't really want your wife being involved with that wife either, nor do you want your kids hanging out together
So
because
you're
these
saying
people are a
deep six
scourge
the
on
whole
humanity.
thing.
You
You're
might
saying,
have to.
okay, we're out. We're
You
as
might
a
have to
family,
turn to your
we are
wife
out.
and be like, I know that you like that mom. She has not revealed herself to you yet. I have seen their ways. We don't want to be associated with this family. We're out.
Man, that is the heaviest tools to live by I feel that has ever been
because
dropped.
because the texting tells you everything. It's like if you go on a date and somebody's rude to the waiter, what do you need to go spend 10 to 20 years married to that person to figure out they're a dick? No,
I,
no, you know right out of the gates. They told me on date one. I got the information I need.
I do need our friend though to chime back in. How did he surf? What was he surfing? Right? Like if this
Did he
guy
show
was
up with a soft top?
if he showed up with soft top, then I fully say like nuke the whole family. If this dude showed up though, no, he was on a had a 6'2" Channel Islands, like whatever, pro, uh ripped, then I'll say, okay, then
No,
you need to put your big boy pants on and make friends with this dude. If he
no, I
rips,
disagree. I disagree because
what
I've
our
met, no,
one principle, David Lee Scales,
dude,
ripping covers all sins.
but I've met those dudes too, where it's like they're a full grown adult, but they're trying to rip too hard.
No, no,
Like they're 45 years old
but do
and
they rip?
they're really focused. Well, look, maybe they do kind of rip, but it's like you're trying way too hard for being your age and having your obligations and stuff. Like take a chill pill, dude. Why are you paddle battling with a 22-year-old?
I get
Like
all of the
chill.
artifice, but if they are ripping, if that dude is paddle battling with a 22-year-old, but then getting that wave and wapow, wapow into like a knock knee barrel coming out. I'm like, okay, we're friends. Like
I
nothing I can do. Ripping, let's just
I
be
guess
honest. Ripping covers a multitude of sins.
you're right. There's a version of it that I guess you're right. I would respect and be like, holy cow, yeah, that guy still got it. But
It's
there's a
hobby.
version that I've also seen that is undignified,
I hear
where
you.
where
Except
it's like,
there's no version where ripping is undone. Like if they're actually ripping, there's no version where trying to rip, pretending to rip, like having had ripped, all of these are undignified.
okay,
Ripping is
anonymous, please write back in this week. We need to get to how did he surf and what type of board was he riding? And we will go deeper next week.
yes, because I like from what I'm hearing though, our dear anonymous, uh, if this guy ripped, would not have been riding in the first place. I guarantee, I will guess this guy was riding a not a mid, but some like a crowd killer, some like bigger board, and very clearly not ripping.
If the guy had the skill
He's
set,
looking for surf buddies. Let's be
if the
honest.
guy had the skill set and the wherewithal and all that were required to actually be ripping, he wouldn't be texting you multiple times a day. Let's get real.
Precisely. No,
Those
I
aren't the
mean,
same guy.
which once again, I feel that there's one truth on this program: ripping. You rip, you can do whatever you want, man,
All is
except
forgiven.
be racist.
All is forgiven.
So
All right. Well, with
racist.
that, I have an epic Pros in the Wild that has to wait until next week because we have hit the 60-minute mark and we have dad duties to get to on an evening. So instead of Pros in the Wild, which we'll save, we're going to go to commercial break and then come back with Barrel or Nah. Chaz, back from commercial, marveling at the doppelgangerness of John Florence and John Daly.
I mean, one in the same, two people, one soul, one face.
You know how they say like apes have 95% the same genetic makeup as Homo sapiens?
Yep.
Those two, it's 100%. It's
100% this.
99.9999999. Like they have the same bloodline.
I wonder, do you think that John Florence, great guy, I have no doubt, do you think his wife, when she thinks, okay, we're having a kid soon, for sure they are, right?
They're not pregnant as there's no news about them being pregnant, but let's presume they're going to aim to have kids at some point.
Let's assume. Does she look down the barrel of this pipe, no pun intended, and think, John Daly? But I suppose if you did, like, okay, I'm either going to get an epic surfer or a legendary golfer. Let's go.
Not, yeah, you're fine.
Yeah,
It's
either
all
way.
gold at that
Yeah.
point. But she does, I think, look at John Daly and be like, this is what my future holds if my John Florence puts on some weight.
And start smoking cigarettes and like drinks like too much, right? Like I
Uh,
feel if you're
yeah, a
her, you're like,
case a
hey,
day.
yeah, hubby, let's keep it with
Yeah.
outside of the ciggies and the booze.
Yeah.
Whatever
Keep
you
keep surfing 8 hours a day.
surf 8 hours a day and then
Yeah,
chase that with a spam musabi or chase that
exactly.
with a
Pokey.
eat whatever you want. Some
Yeah.
pokey, just steer clear of heavy booze and cigarettes.
Because otherwise, gonna look like John Daly. All right.
Except
Well,
they all already do look exactly alike. So
they
then what do
already
you do?
do. It's
Yeah.
shocking. It's shocking that an old man who's fat looks like a young man who's skinny, and they look exactly the same. Okay. Listener feedback. Hello, longtime listener writing to tell you how spot on your past advice has been regarding the middle seat on an airplane. I've been following Chaz's adamant advice that the person in the middle seat gets both armrests, and I must agree that he couldn't be more correct. I've been following this advice and have been also been a silent judge and jury for my fellow passengers while I'm in the middle seat. I have come to some conclusions. As I sit on an airplane flying from LAX to Boston, watching my fellow comrade in the middle seat enjoying both armrests while he shoots out a few texts before we take off. The world is in good hands. Work, Jason.
Yes, it's
Congrats.
it's totally true. That dude gets both, and in these trying times, let's be honest, there is everything is topsy-turvy now. This is a truth. Middle dude gets armrests
Absolutely. Yeah. No question about it. They earned it. That's the worst seat on the plane. You get
ever.
both armrests. All right. Barrel or non, number one, coming from the listener line.
Chaz and David, barrel or nah, bringing wax out into the lineup on purpose in your boardy pocket, or, maybe your wetsuit, you kind of stuff it in the zipper, like the front zipper pocket where you put your key. I've done this on purpose and not. Maybe new board, like the wax is just not there yet, so you throw a bar of wax in your pocket, and while you're out there, you might scuff it up, rub it up, But something I don't do every time. It's not like mandatory to bring wax with you out surfing. Generally, you just get that done in the parking lot or on the beach or whatever. Also, coming from the Gulf Coast of Mexico, the longboarding, hot dogging, dang capital of the world, hot dogging is just longboarding, man. That's longboarding. You're out there, good, bad, and ugly. It's hot dogging, and if you're really good at hot dogging a longboard, you are known as the hot dogging Jesus, which Devin Howard is like ultimate top king yogi hot dog Jesus of America. But it can only be done on a longboard. Mid-lengths are just like you can rip a mid-length. You can only hot dog a longboard. A longboard can only be hot dogged. Felipe Toledo has never hot dogged anything, but maybe a hot dog itself, eating one. All right, boys, keep up the work. Cheers. You.
Can't be more
Go ahead.
thankful for our listeners. Like he said what we jibber jabbered about clearly, cleanly, and truly last week, right? It's true. You can only hot dog along. Like listening to him talk. Yes.
That's why we came up with a bunch of other sausages. I
Yeah.
told you I was coming prepared this week, right? I've got a
Yeah.
list.
Okay.
Now, I've got a list, but we're going to assign different lengths of surfboards and style of surfing later. But I'm at
Okay.
least going to present the list
Yes.
of
Got it.
sausages.
To his early point, though, Barrel and Knob bringing wax into the lineup. Back to ripping. Barrel, if you rip. If you bring wax in the lineup and you're waxing your board and then you're like bogging and doing half turns, no barrel. You better, like, if you're bringing wax, you better be throwing full reverse airs out the back. You better be like blowing up because you need that extra traction for something other than bogging a turn.
I hate to offer practical advice because I like to just make a bold statement with these barrel and raws. But the reality is, there's sometimes where you need to bring wax in the lineup. Like if there's somewhere
Where?
where in between, I always wax the board of the
You.
car, first of all, always.
Where me? Where do we need to bring wax in the lineup?
If you're
I know hot
walking,
water, da 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 da,
no,
melty, blah.
if between your car and the beach there is something that you're walking through that is either going to get on your feet like mossy rocks, or sometimes like a wax job that is old, like an old board that's in the garage and has an old wax job on it. You put a layer of wax at the car, but somehow that kind of gets dissipated when you're paddling out and after your first couple of waves. Like it doesn't stick to the old wax very well. So you get a couple of waves under your belt, it gets some salt water and some sand in it, and it needs a new layer of wax after 2 or 3 waves.
Let's be honest, David Lee Scales. How many times has your wax job uh you
Ruined.
blown away because of it?
It's happened.
Sure.
I've always surfed crappy regardless of how good the wax job is. So there's that. But sometimes it needs a fresh layer of wax after a few waves, is all I'm saying.
I hear you. And I'm gonna say if you're gonna be in the lineup doing that, you better air reverse on your next wave.
Yeah.
If you are going to bring a bar of wax in the lineup, this is my bar. Your next wave better be an air reverse. When you do
Okay.
that, I'm like, oh yeah, that bro needed extra traction. Otherwise, for me, I could have a naked board out there, not one drop of wax, and serve roughly the same that I serve with the wax.
All
I
right.
feel that is like 95% of surfers.
We're going gnaw. Use your fingernails to scratch up the
Scratch it
track.
up. If you
Yeah.
blew it somehow and you want to blame your wax, even though it wasn't the wax's fault, just fingernail it up.
All right. Barrel or non number 2 coming from Jason Mamoa. Canned water.
Like water plus electrolytes,
No,
or
no. Just water sold in a can, like Liquid Death or whatever else they have nowadays.
oh, I mean, I love, yeah, if you're okay, my goodness. So here's the thing. I teach, I'm a teacher, David Lee Scales. Don't know if you knew this. Have taught today. Was up in Los Angeles all day with 7 children. The water bottle thing, the kids' need for water all the time is idiotic. You don't need that much water. Somehow, water has become the thing. Your water, just like David Lee Scales is drinking water right now. Water, 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 water. No, this is what I've always taught myself. And this is another tools to live by. Fairwatches.com. Get yourself a Fairwatch. Treat yourself like a camel, man. Water's going away. The global warming, all this. Train yourself not to drink water anymore. Have your
Should have.
glass a day. Water. So, all to say, no. Jason Momoa's damn new water. Yes, if you go replace all the plastic water bottles, plastic is the problem here, right? But everybody's addiction to water, knock your dang addiction to water off. Stop drinking water.
We survived without it when we were children. Maybe
Yes.
you get a hit off the garden hose in the middle of a long day in
Yes.
the summer heat after playing football for 8 hours. Like that was it. And we survived.
Everybody was okay. Nobody,
Yeah.
you don't need to be drinking water 24 hours a day. Somehow the military industrial water complex has taken over everything where it's water, water, water. No, stop
Well,
drinking water.
in the can, I'm going no barrel specifically because nothing tastes better out of a can.
It's true.
Literally nothing. Like
Except
beer.
for the plastics, I will
Well,
give
plastics.
them
Yeah,
this is get rid of plastics, right?
sure.
Like
That's
no
fine.
plastic.
That's fine. Can is better than plastic. Gotcha. But nothing tastes better out of a can.
Yeah.
Like soda doesn't, beer
Nope.
doesn't.
Nope.
I can't think. Coffee definitely doesn't.
Nope.
Wine, absolutely not. Like
Nope.
nothing. Once the taste of metal hits your lips, whatever passes through it is somehow degraded by that.
Precisely. So here's how you save the world is by stop drinking water. You and I should do it. Yeah. I mean, there was somebody who did the drink water campaign. It was like, don't buy stuff, just drink whatever water at home
Yeah.
or whatever. No, my campaign is do not drink water. You don't need that. Go down to the sink in the morning or your whatever water system you have, drink a glass of water. You're good for the day. That's all the
There was
water
a
you need.
there was a great documentary 10 years ago about how beer saved the world because like through the Middle Ages and stuff where like water was contaminated and
Yeah.
people would die of it, from trying to drink it, beer was safe
Yeah.
because of the
Fermented.
process that it went through to get brewed. So it was like you got hydration from it, and so it saved humanity.
I mean, I think you and I should do PSAs as we should tag on the PSA of John Florence is John Daly with stop drinking water. Everyone,
All right,
you've had
let's
enough.
do it. Starting next week.
We have all had enough. No more water.
Starting next week.
Yep.
All right. Final barrel or not comes from a listener email. He says, good afternoon. Been surfing since my late teens. I'm now in my late 30s and fully went into learning the history of Hawaii and origins of surfing. Shout out to Matt Warshaw for doing a lot of the research for me. When things have gotten serious with my girlfriends in the past, we fantasize about Hawaii as the perfect romantic getaway. I can get my waves, she can get some time on the beach, romantic sunsets, etc. With all this said, it's never panned out. In fact, I have a streak of planning trips, booking and paying for them. And in the time before our flight departs, we inevitably break up. 3 trips to Hawaii have been planned and 3 relationships have ended. No joke. I'm 0 for 3 and starting to think there's cosmic meaning. Now, I'm in a great relationship with somebody amazing. She even surfs and supports my surfing quest. She just announced the ultimate birthday surprise for me. You guessed it. We're going to Hawaii for a long birthday weekend. I feel good about the relationship, fantastic about her as a girlfriend, and I'm feeling pretty confident with the idea of Hawaii, partially because she's the one who booked it. But I can't help but have my track record lingering in the back of my mind. So, boys, barrel or not, being an adult who believes in curses. Thanks, gents. Work.
This is one of the heaviest barrel and ahs we've ever had. Yeah.
I think so.
It is barrel to be an adult who believes in curses.
Ooh.
Like, what else are you gonna do? I mean, you can say, this was like you can say whatever you want, but when the lights turn out, when the pressure's on, when the something is going to happen, yeah, believe in that curse. You can break the curse. You're saying no.
This might be the ultimate partner for him. She's going to break the curse. She
Sure.
booked the trick. She did it on her own accord. She is the ultimate one. This is the identifier. You've always wanted to go to Hawaii. You were working too hard to do it on your own, and that's where the curse was born out of. This woman comes in from left field. She's going to help you get to your destination and do it for you.
Completely. But I will also say the curse exists. I believe, like, I will say, I mean, I feel you feel differently, that you would
Yeah,
say, no, this is all just in your mind. This is all random
I don't think it's
happenstance.
random. I would look a little bit deeper into what was happening in those relationships that led to the end, because I'm not sure that Hawaii Pamalu was reaching out from, the great beyond to uh thwart your travel adventures with your romantic partner. I think it was more something was actually there that was a problem and you didn't identify it early enough.
Per the barrel or not, though, I will say yes. Adult believing that curses exist is a full barrel. They do.
Do you believe
Like,
in the Bermuda Triangle?
I mean, that's I think I feel as curses as, I guess I don't believe in curses in that way, that something is cursed. Like, so yeah. I mean, I guess for this listener, no, Hawaii is not cursed, right? But there could be stuff around Hawaii and you that, but you need like the magical partner to deal with this. I will say the all of this, like nothing is like just okay, yeah. There's all empirical scientific evidence of da da da. Clearly not. No,
0 for 3 is more
something.
than coincidence.
Yeah.
It's statistically like deviant.
Yeah.
So I there might be something there. He needs to look into his own family background. Maybe there was something. Maybe somebody did something to defile Hawaiian land. Way his grandfather went there and did something horrific.
His
So
grandfather
you want
went
to look.
and found a tiki necklace and then went and surfed in the surfing competition with the tiki necklace on. And then, do you remember the Brady Bunch episode when the
No,
Bradys went to Hawaii?
I don't
You
even
don't
know what
remember
a
that?
tiki necklace is.
Oh, do you don't remember that Brady Bunch episode?
No.
The Brady Bunch went to Hawaii. Greg Brady found a tiki necklace, like a little tiki head necklace, and then went and surfed and was gonna win a competition in Hawaii surfing. But yeah, whatever. The whole thing, it's like a 2 episode special. Go watch it.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is very similar to the pros in the wild that I had scheduled for today.
Yeah.
But I guess that we'll leave it as a cliffhanger teaser for next week.
Yeah. But barrel on believing in curses, you bro,
But
you
also
got
barrel on your girlfriend booking this trip for you and
precisely.
go
And
have at
it
it.
because if this doesn't work out, if she is not a curse breaker, you want to be married to a curse, or not that you're gonna get married, but you want to be with a curse breaker.
So do you have any curses in your life that you are scared of, that you're actively avoiding?
Never, but I
Me
always
neither.
think like I've gotten more weirdly superstitious as I've gotten older, not in terms of like personal stuff, but yeah, I don't know, it's weird. Like
Hmm.
just with the kid, I guess, a lot
Yeah.
of like her hopes and dreams, and then I'll like attach a lot more to that because yeah, like she applied for the Paris Opera Ballet, right? Which is
Right.
like nobody gets into that thing. And so she applied, and then weirdly, a French song came on Spotify after, and I thought,
Mm.
so it's that kind of stuff, right? Where never before did I ever think any of this, but now with stuff that I think I want stuff more for her than I ever
Yeah.
wanted for myself. And so then I'll try to attach extra meaning. Like even yesterday was at a library where there was a magic 8 ball. So is she gonna get the parasite? Shook it. And like
What
actually
did it say?
it said something like of course or something. Yeah.
When
But
did you
she
get the
already
results?
March 16th, I think, but she already,
Jesus.
but yeah, that one's hard, but kid already sent it. She got into School of American Ballet with a scholarship, which is like, yeah, not a need-based scholarship, a merit where they're looking at her, which is, this is the one, School of
Was
American
that
Ballet,
was that the
New
San
York.
Francisco audition?
Yeah, but yeah, exactly. But it's in New York, but this is the premier American school, best school ever. Love every bit of it. I don't get me started about the School of American Ballet. But yeah, she did
Amazing.
with a
I'm
scholarship.
I'm gonna go play some Serge Gainsbourg tonight, just in her honor.
Exactly.
Try to juice the gods.
I've legit, so yeah, to our dear listeners' point again, I've only been listening to French music since then. Just not, I'm already tired. Like this kid, Balanchine, she's in, like, this is where I want her anyway, New York. But this Paris Opera Ballet, ooh, if she got into there.
Do you remember that Carla Bruni?
Yeah, of course. I love Carla Bruni.
How good is that first album that she put out?
Epic.
It's
Absolutely,
unbelievable.
absolutely epic, epic, epic. And the fact that she was France's first lady for a number
Well,
of years.
she was like a harlot, dare I say, before that. She was like the Paris Hilton prior to that. I mean, I think she's the heir to Firestone, or not
Yeah.
Firestone, Pirelli. Pirelli, maybe it is.
But then epic, like an absolute who like her singing is epic.
Unbelievable.
And then married whoever the prime minister was.
Berlusconi.
Yeah, Berlusconi. And so, I mean, the whole thing. Yeah. Carla
But
Bruni
when
is one of my favorites of favorite, which makes me so mad. Why doesn't America have this kind of political stuff?
Well, so it literally, she was the equivalent of Paris Hilton in terms of like just being a socialite who's out doing her thing. And then she releases an album. Paris Hilton goes and becomes a DJ, you know?
Yeah.
But Carla Bruni's album is unbelievable. Like
It's
the
one,
first album, the other ones haven't been so great, but the first album was just like the greatest album of all time. You never would have seen it coming. And then she married Berlusconi after that.
I mean, I hope that you can throw the Carla Bruni song, the really good one.
The title track, I mean, all of them are really good.
That one.
This is the title track.
Yeah, epic. It
Want
is
to
like,
play out the show with that song?
yes, please.
Okay, we'll close out the show with that song,
Okay,
just so listeners can appreciate it. All right. Well,
enjoy.
hey, it's been a massive show. You asked at 5:30, will this be a good show or not? I said it's going to be the best show we've ever done. I think it was.
Thank you, one.
Water. Thank you, Water, that you were, I should have known when you went into the rant late saying, I don't drink any water. I never drink water. I should have known that wasn't water in your glass. All right. Well, beachgrit.com. Go watch the WSL, watch it all burn down. They're going to start pipe in 4 days. Looks like it's going to
cares?
run. And yeah, until then, we'll be back here next week, though, with the grit every week because we don't miss an episode. But until then,
Keep work.
all right. Thank you.
Thank you.
See ya.